I almost made it to the end without saying something ridiculous. Hey y'all, I am back for one more end of year 2022 wrap up video. This is going to be my 2022 finish parade, and I will be showing you more or less chronologically all of the cross stitch finishes I did in the previous year. I was just looking at my journal, and I believe I either have 32 or 33, maybe even 34 finishes. There was something, I was watching Michelle G, Bendy Stitchy today, watching a live that she did for her Patreon folks, and I realized in some of her discussion that I had a finish, a very small finish, but a finish that I don't think I wrote down in the book. So if I get towards the end and I realize it wasn't listed on here, then that's what I'm going to do, is make sure and kind of plug it in somewhere so I don't forget about it. And then I will give you a for sure total at the end. Right now I'm standing at 33, but I think it might actually be 34. So let's get started. And for those of you who might also enjoy knitting, I will have some bonus knitting finish parade at the end. I don't have nearly as many of those. I was looking again at what I had listed, and I think I have about 11 finishes, knitting finishes for the year. So that's not bad. Between the two, I think I had a pretty productive year. So let's get started. So for the most part, these will go in chronological order. There may be a couple of exceptions, a couple of things where I jump around a little bit, simply because in my journal, I journal my start dates of when I start things, but my finishes don't always, occur in the same timeline. I tend to finish things when I finish things. So, if anything, this will be from the beginning of the year to the end of the year finish, but not necessarily, they won't all be, back to back. It'll kind of just be page by page as I go through my journal. So I hope that makes sense. All right. So, and as an addendum, I will note that not everything I have as a finish. So there are quite a few finishes that were either given as gifts or given as finishes that I did for other folks and sent off to them, and even some things that either I haven't fully finished yet, but I have the pictures of the finished piece that I stitched, those kinds of things. So okay, finally. So let's get started. The actual first finish of 2022 was a piece that was, if you remember, Betty White passed away right at the end of 2020. I think it was on December 31st, 2021. And so there was a lot of beginning starts to, and I did the same thing. I started the Walk Fast Sampler by Lindy Stitches right at the first of the year. There were a lot of different Golden Girls kind of tribute stitches and stuff like that. So that was mine. This is, I think it's called Thank You Friend. It is done by Jukebox Stitchery. And I'm trying to, it's a little bit better. It's hard because, so as you can see, I finished this into a project bag. But that's a little bit better. I don't know. It's the glare. So I actually covered this in vinyl, and the white fabric doesn't help either. But I covered this in vinyl so it didn't get dirty. So it's not only covered in the front, but it's also got a back fabric panel behind it as well, just so it's basically encased in my bag here. But this was done on a 40 count alabaster Newcastle linen. The thread is a variegated thread by Forbidden Fiber Co. called Rio. And I started this again right after the first of the year and finished it pretty quickly in about 10 days. So this was my first finish for the year and my first fully finish, I think, very shortly after that. I think I pretty much kind of knew what I wanted to do with it, because in addition I had bought a Golden Girls Valentine's yarn skein, mini skein set from Fangirl Fibers, and so this ended up being my project bag for that yarn until I used it, as a hint to future knitting finishes that I mentioned. But so this bag actually held that yarn at the time. It now holds my second, I'm doing another one of those knitted tops, so it actually holds all the yarn for that project in here for now. So yeah, I'm absolutely in love with this. If I had to do the finish again, I don't know what I would do about the vinyl, because what ends up happening is you can't iron the vinyl, so as you're turning your bag inside out, I've got to watch a few more tutorials. But it wasn't terrible for a first job. It's just, it's still got a lot of wrinkles, and there was no really good way to iron it without, the linen needed kind of a high heat to get all the wrinkles out, but you can't use a high heat with the vinyl or it melts. So anyway, so that was my first finish for the year. Number 2, I'm going to pop up a picture here. So actually this is 2 and 3. This was a chart by, oh my goodness, I didn't write it down. It was a freebie on Instagram. If I can remember to look it up, I'll pop it in down here. But it was meant to be kind of a cheeky Valentine that I stitched for my sister. But along with it was a QR code for a YouTube video of kind of one of our favorite. She and I kind of have a similar twisted sense of weird kind of liking very bizarre music. So it was actually a QR code for a YouTube video. So when she scanned it, she could hear the song at any time, the music video. But the weirdo was stitched on a 14 count called Peaceful Purple. I don't know that I didn't put what the, unless the Peaceful Purple was I don't know if it was the floss or the fabric. I wasn't very good in my note taking on this. But then also I used Leo and Roxy Floss. And I think, if I remember correctly, one of the colors was Vampish, the dark, the black, almost black color. And I can't remember the other one. Again, if I remember, I'll put it in I'll put it below. And then the QR code was done on a piece of 14 count, just natural Aida. And it was done with a spool I had of Anchor Black. It was like one of the only things I stitched with that spool of Anchor Black. It worked just fine. There's a lot of controversy about whether or not Anchor is good floss when you get it on the spool, and I think what's been determined is that where you live in the world depends on where your anchor comes from on the spool, and if it's manufactured in certain parts of the US or the world or whatever, you get a better quality of floss. So so that was 2 and 3. Then number 4, another picture. This is Darling and Whimsy's Quirky Quaker Owl. This was done in February, so I'm going to guess it was done for February. And as a matter of fact, I think I also tagged, because of the big football game that happens right after the first of the year, which they are so picky about people using the name of that game. for trademark copyright reasons, the hashtag superb owl, I used that as well. So that was a SAF in February. I think it was basically done the day of the game. I might have actually maybe even been watching the game a little bit, or maybe pre-game or something. So I have notes about that. It was done on an 18 count Fortnite Fabrics ornament cut with a couple of DMC colors. I don't think it was the colors that were called for necessarily. Deanna, Darling and Whimsy, Deanna usually uses Gentle Art or Color and Cotton, you know, different like overnight flosses. But I think I had a couple of colors that were really looked really good together. So that's what I ended up doing. And it was done on an ornament cut, which was 18 count. And so it was actually really small, and it was, so I did a center start, and it was so small, I actually had room for other Quakers. And so what I ended up, my fifth finish was on that same piece of 18 count. It was done in one of the four corners. I want to say it was like one of the bottom corners, but this is Quirky Quaker Moose. And this was done with Forbidden Fiber Company conversion. And this was started and finished on March 13th. So, is that right? It was like exactly 1 month later. February 13th was when I did the owl march. I don't know what the significance was of that. But, so, needless to say, later on down the road in the year, I was trying to do a finish that I had in my mind to do, and I wanted to try do kind of a first attempt finish. This was not the finish. It was something completely different. It was not meant to be a pillow, but somehow or another, as you can see, I got the different fabric I was using so close to the edge on this that I just turned it into a pillow. It's National Park Fabrics. So it's really tiny, almost like a pin cushion. Really cute. But this was fully finished much later in the year. I want to say like, you know, summer, something like that. But the finished stitch was finished in March. And so what ended up happening was when I cut this off of that ornament cut that had the owl on it, the owl actually ended up going to my Stitch team in December, as one of our team challenges was a collaborative piece where we all stitched snarky or sassy critters. Most of them were birds, for those of you who don't know what a burb is. But there were insects and some other things as well. So basically, since I already had that owl done early in the year, I decided to take that, basically cut out just enough, put my little snarky saying at the top, cut out just enough to where I had good margins, and then basically hot glued it to a piece of felt. So it was kind of half finished, so that when it was put in the journal, it was safe, and that it would travel through the mail easily, because it would stay flat, and there'd be less chance of it fraying or anything like that. So, alright, so that was 4 and 5. Number 6 was a Whip Go finish and fully finish. So this is We Go Together by Frosted Pumpkin. This was started in, I want to say 2021, February of 2021. This was part of a Valentine sale. A personal sale of mine that I was doing. And so I didn't get very much done in 2021. I just had like a little bit of the border, and that was about it. But because I put it on Whip Go for 2022, it got done. It got finished. And this was also done in March. And it was pretty much framed up and everything pretty quickly. I mean, once I had it done, I knew what I wanted to do with it. So, and I had the frame. So yeah, so that was finish number 6. Okay, and then finish number 7 was a piece that I ended up putting, I started a little like leather bound, it's meant to be like a photo album. It's got like photo pages in it, but I'm kind of using it as a temporary kind of place to put finishes, journal style, until I've had a chance to decide how I'm going to fully finish items. So number 7 that I finished in April, first part of April, is Wonky Cat by Marroomy Designs. I always get that confused because one is her Instagram, Miriam's Instagram, and the other one is her design company. So this was stitched on another Fortnite fabric 18 count piece, ornament cut, using Leo and Roxy colors, which I don't have the colors in front of me, but if you go to my Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram, it's there. I usually put my colors that the colors that I use in pretty much everything. This happened to be, if I remember correctly, when I received my, I'm going to say, it must have been my March Roxy Floss Co subscription, floss subscription. These were basically the colors, 4 of the colors, 4 of the 5 colors that were in the neutrals subscription. So that's what I actually ended up doing. Also, this was part of a sal that I did with Stitcherness on Instagram. We did it as a collaborative sal for Beck's birthday sal. And I don't have the hashtag in front of me, but I want to say it was like Beck's Cat Kingdom sal. Beck's birthday is in April, and so she basically suggested stitching on any cats for the month of April, and so I kind of challenged myself to try to do, I think, 1 a week. So the next few you're going to see are cat finishes that I did. I think I did, I was trying to look and see. I know I did 2. It seems like 3. I must have done 3 because the other 2, this one by no means is a small stitch. I mean, it's there's a lot of negative space, so it doesn't take very long to do, but it's not a quick stitch. The other 2 I did as well. I think were kind of in the same vein. They weren't that small, so I think once I got done with the 3rd one, I was pretty much, the month was up. So, but yeah, I'll show you a couple more here in a minute as well. So that was number 7. And I just realized I am out of order again on my numbers, because I listed this as number 6, but this was not number 6. This must have been shortly before or after we go together. So let's say 6.5, but that means my count's already off. But this is a Quirky Quaker that I did. This was actually a Whip Go call in April. We're still in the first part of the year, Jen. This is Quirky Quaker Unicorn, again by Darling and Whimsy. This is using a Fortnite fabric ornament cut, an 18 count, using the variegated blue and purple floss as a Stitchy Ferret floss, and then DMC Diamant for the unicorn itself. And this was a restart. This was something that I had started on my couple of different spots up here on my Quirky Quaker big piece of fabric, but I kept getting the count wrong on the border, so this was listed on my Whip Go as basically a finish, but then ultimately, because I had misstitched, gotten off on my count, I just decided to start all over again on another piece of fabric. So that is what I ended up doing with that one. So I was going to say, technically, that's number 8, so I'm going to be off. Hopefully I can keep my numbers straight for a little while. we'll see what happens. Okay, so number 9, and actually, I'm going to say 9, 11, and 12. I made 3 of these little button needle minders that say "It's You I Like." Here are 2 of them. These are meant to be gifts for people. They are stitched with the flosses that I used in sals that I did with the individuals that they will be going to. Obviously, I've had them almost a year now, and I really need to get them in the mail. But the third one, the original one I stitched, was because it was part of a sal that I did with the aforementioned Beck as part of, we did a cat stitch kind of together. Basically, I stitched it. She really liked the pattern, so I gifted the pattern to her. But in addition, I stitched an "It's You I Like" needle minder button to send to her with this pattern, which happens to be, if I can find it on here, number 10. So I said, what did I say? 9, 11, and 12 were the buttons. Well, this was number 10. This is The Cat Came Back by Tiny Modernist. The cat, the black, because there's a lot of black in this. This is DMC 310, and the colors are actually pretty close to the called for, as far as if you want an idea of the way the pattern actually looks. But I converted Tiny Modernist's colors to Roxy Floss Co. So, and this was also stitched on another 18 count Fortnite fabric ornament cut. This is gonna be a recurring theme because I absolutely love these ornament cuts. I've pretty much used them on everything that I can that's small that it will fit on. And it looks like I finished this in April for Beck's Cat Kingdom Sal for her birthday, but I didn't FFO this until around June, and I did this cute little tray. And it was my first attempt. This was the tray itself. I actually watched a Debbie Shore live. I mean, it was, pre-recorded, or it was live when it was originally done, but it was, by the time I watched it, it was an old one. And the trays that she did were much, much bigger. They were meant to hold, like fabric or toys or something like that. But I tried to see if I could do just like a mini one, like you would set like notions in or something like that. Even though I don't do that, I pretty much set it up right to display it. But that's what I ended up doing. So I thought the FFO was really cute. I haven't duplicated it yet, but I would like to do a couple more finishes like these just because it turned out really well. The only thing I've got to get down is, or learn to do is get better at, if the finish is going to be the bottom, stabilizing it better, because it ended up getting kind of, and you can't really see it, but because the fabric starts to bunch up when you're pinching your corners to tie it, you can kind of see here it gets a little bunched up. So I need to work on, or I need to remember to like either put some fabric stabilizer or something on there just to keep the pattern, keep it laying flat when I stitch it. But otherwise, it's absolutely adorable. Really, really, really cute. So that was, what did I say, number 10. Talked about 11 and 12. So number 13 is a needle minder I made for myself. This is a free pattern that Michelle, Bendy Stitchy, did that was part of her Patreon, one of her free patterns in Patreon. And so this was in April, and actually I don't know, it may have been, I'm starting to look at my notes here, sorry. It was a Twitch freebie. So if you had joined her on Twitch that day, I think she may have even designed it or something while we were joined her live. So this is I Like 'em Stripey I'm going to kind of hold it in kind of close because it is really tiny. This is my first attempt at stitching 1/1 on 40 count. So this was a scrap of that white alabaster linen 40 count that I mentioned earlier. This was basically, again, another month, the colors in another Roxy Floss Co subscription. So that's what I ended up using, was subscription flosses that I received. This is towards the end of April, so I'm going to say these were probably April colors. And at the time, I think I was only getting the neutral subscription, so these were in the neutral pack. But yeah, so this is Michelle. Michelle designed this and gave this to us for free on Twitch. And I definitely learned, even though I'm still not doing it correctly, but I've definitely learned that when you stitch this tiny 1/1, it's better to do a tent stitch, not a full cross. But this was done with full cross because when I started getting the flower stitches started to become a real mess. So, but again, this is basically turned into a button needle minder. So, and this is on one of Michelle's designs that I keep with it. So that is number 13. Then number 14 was the final, I believe, as I'm looking ahead a little bit here, the final Beck's Cat Kingdom Sal start and finish for the month of April. I have to, I'm going to post a picture of the finished stitching here, because what I'm about to show you is the fully finished object that I did, but it's going to require a brief explanation as to why it looks the way it does. So this is Plant Pots by Darling and Whimsy Design. This was done on a 32 count Chai Love You by Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers fabric. It was a Forbidden Fiber Co. conversion, and I FFO'd it into a reusable coffee cup, cold cup, not necessarily coffee, but a reusable cold cup that has the ability to insert a picture or a drawing or a pattern or whatever. And I have a couple of these cups. Well, I knew this because I had done it a couple of times previously. I immediately used this cup. I love this cup so much. And I knew that this is not a seal. I mean, you're supposed to be able to unscrew this so you can put stuff in and out. So this is not a watertight seal. So the first time I used it, everything was fine, cleaned it, whatever. The next time I used it, I did not pay attention to what I was doing. I ended up submerging this cup in with a bunch of other soapy dishes. And it ended up, I don't know if you can see there, the green bled. This cat used to be like a white. This cat's whiskers and face used to be white. You can kind of see the color of the fabric basically ran. The color of the stitches ran. I'm pretty sure this cat probably bled quite a bit. So essentially, lesson learned, pay attention when you're doing this. So I absolutely love this cup. I actually don't mind, unless you pointed this out, somebody probably really wouldn't know. I mean, that honestly just looks like pink nose and pink eye. I mean, it still looks fine. But I had to remind myself I messed up. So this one's the most obvious, the green that bled onto this cat. If you didn't know that this cat was white, you just think it was, tan colored, but you can see where the green bled. So anyway, so this is a lesson learned. I still love this cup. I still use it, but I have to remind myself not to submerge it in water anymore because I don't want it to bleed any more than it already has. But it turned out really, really cute either way. So yeah, so that was my FFO for that. And yeah, I definitely will stitch, I will definitely want to do a couple more cup finishes. I actually have one in mind for some smalls that patterns that I have that are Star Wars related. So I'd like to do a Star Wars cup next, I think. So we'll see how that plays out in the coming year. Okay, so that was, if I'm keeping all this straight, that was number 14. Okay, so we are on to page 2 in my journal of finishes. Number 15. Oh my gosh, I hope I can find a picture. Number 15 was actually a swap. It was the Great Twitch Burb Migration. Last year, we all were partnered up with kind of round robin style. So like the person I submitted my design or gave my stitch to was not the person that I received from. So I'll show you, because I've got mine right here that I received, not stitched. I know this isn't related to my finishes, but Jean Gallagher was my stitcher person, and she stitched me this lovely little, and you could request if you wanted it to be snarky or not, and I did, so it says burn it down. And she also sent this extra little button needle minder as well. So that was the one that I received. Well, the one that I stitched was for the wonderful Jessie at Mislaid Pages. It was stitched on another Fortnite fabric ornament cut. It was a 32 count. And what I ended up doing was picking, I think I just received my monthly Disney Fangirl Fiber subscription, silks and needle minder, and the silks were very, very, very pretty. And something that I thought Jessie would really, really love. So I sent them the stitched finish, or the finish, stitched, but unfinished as to what they wanted to do with it. If they wanted to put it in a journal, if they wanted to make something with it, whatever they wanted to do. I didn't want Jessie to feel like limited as to the possibilities. And I hesitate now because I know I've received a lot of comments on my personal finishing choices that have been very praiseworthy. But I still hesitate in finishing something for someone else when I don't know, what they would want. So like the one that I received from Jean, I was really excited because it's a cute little bag and a little needle minder, and it's just perfect. I wish I had done the same for Jessie, just because I don't know, I didn't know Jessie as well at the time, and now that I know them better, I feel like Jessie would have been happy with however I finished it. Anyway, I'm saying all that to say, in addition, I gifted the Fangirl Fibers floss, the remainder of the purple, because Jessie's favorite color is purple, gifted the rest of the purple silk to them, along with an extra skein, and I think it was of Roxy Floss Co, a purple, that I thought that Jessie would appreciate. So that was number 14, or 15, I'm trying to keep my numbers straight, 15, that was my finish, and that was early part of May. And as a matter of fact, it was funny, just as another side story, because why not. So May was going to be a busy month for me. I had a trip planned at the end of the month around the Memorial Day holiday here in the U.S. And so I knew I needed to get that burb stitched and done, and I basically sat down like in that first weekend, and got it done and mailed it out and got everything. I mean, I was way ahead. I think it was like, of all the people that were sending out burbs in May, so our deadline was like the first weekend in June, and I didn't want to be crunched for time coming back from my planned vacation, and then have to try to get that in the mail and all that. So I got it done. I was one of the first 2 or 3 people that I think Michelle Bendy Stitchy, she's the one that hosted it, kind of helped, put it all together. So I think I was one of the first people that she received an email from saying, hey, here's my tracking number. I've already sent mine off. But little did I know that one, not only was my vacation ruined or postponed, but two is because I got COVID. So when jeans came into me, I was so sick. I had to apologize profusely to her because I opened it. I had it all, opened and whatever, but I was still in such a just brain fog at the time. I threw away like her address or any ability to send her a thank you card or anything. And then so it was way after the fact when I finally was feeling better that I was like, oh crap, I don't even think I ever posted it to social media. But I did send her just a sweet thank you DM because I was just like, I am so sorry. And I was like, and besides which I didn't want to like send a card, cough in it, send you COVID in the mail. I know that's not really a thing. I mean, probably wouldn't have been a thing, but I was like, it's really, really fine. But I was just kind of like, it was the craziest month ever. So, needless to say, as I look at my journal, that was the only thing I did in May. Which is perfectly fine. Okay, so that was number 15. We're halfway through. Woohoo! Number 16. Okay, so we get to June. That was Stitch for Pride. That was Pride Month. These 20 stitches did a fantastic job of educating us and putting together a lot of material for us to learn from and grow with. And included with that were stitchy prompts, if we so chose. But the main focus was to educate and advocate and donate our resources, our time, our, whatever we could to helping people in the community. So along with that, there were a lot of freebie Pride patterns that were released. I'm not, as much as I appreciate, for instance, Jacob of Modern Folk Embroidery did Move Forward in Love. His was as a part of a donation, as you would pay for the pattern, but he made a donation to a charity of his choosing. So I did do a lot of that. I did start that. It's not going to be shown here today as a finish, but in addition, there were some, little small Pride freebies, which are great, and if they come from someone in the community who, needs representation or needs, needs support, I certainly did as much as I could with the resources I have available to me. But one of the ones that did touch me was, again, Deanna of Darling and Whimsy created a quirky Quaker called Pride. And the Quaker was designed with a pride flag in the center that you could design to represent, someone that you want to gift it to, someone you care about, yourself, if that was the case. But she gave you a lot of different pride flag options, so you could design it however you chose. So mine, again, stitched on a Fortnite fabric ornament cut. It was an 18 count. It was, I was trying to look and see. The DMC, the border of mine is done in DMC 648, and the flag was a Stitchy Ferret floss that I purchased, that I fussy cut to get the colors the way I wanted them for this. And I finished it as a, I bought a giant, one of those giant button kits. I mean, button, you know, to make your own giant fabric button from Joann Fabric. So that's what this is basically just a, you know, like if you wanted to sew it onto something, you could do something like that. So briefly, I'll show you. That is the one that I did. And so yeah, that was number 16, and that was in June. Number 17, which is one that I was really proud of. This was one of the first, I think, designs by Uncanny Kari. She has a Patreon that you should support if you can. She's not only a designer, but an artist, just an absolutely fantastic person. And so through her Patreon, at I think one of the very basic levels, she every so often designs a chart, and it may be once a month. I don't know that it's every month, but Kari does as best she can. And this one I absolutely loved. It's called Many Nights, and this was also done on an 18 count Fortnite Fabrics ornament cut, using Fangirl Fiber silks that I just, I think, if I remember correctly, so there's 4 colors. There's a light blue, a dark blue, a light like pink, and then a dark maroon red. And I think like 3 of the 4 colors were like from Star Wars. Fangirl Fiber's Star Wars box. And then the 4th one was actually from or maybe 2 and 2. Maybe it's 2 Star Wars, and then 2 were from Michelle Bendy Stitchy's collaboration that she did with Fangirl Fibers for the Persephone and Hades in spring pattern kit. The colors came from there, and I just snipped off enough that I needed to stitch this because I knew that pattern wasn't going to require all of the silks that we were given. So without further ado, this is Many Nights. Isn't it adorable? And I am so proud of this because I had wanted to stitch berries for like a really long time, and I have some berry patterns. And as a matter of fact, a couple of the berry patterns that I have are have instructions on how to assemble them. But this was just a square, you know. When we got the pattern from Kari, it was just a square. It was just a design on a... as a matter of fact, I think Kari has a... I'm trying to show this to where it doesn't blow out. The pink's really kind of washing out a little bit. Kari has a larger, I think, also night pattern as well. Or maybe it's just an art print. But anyway, so I decided to take, because of the kind of the shape, as you can kind of see the way the shape is on the pattern, and this was my first berry, and I could not be more tickled with how it turned out. So then picked a pink and a blue felt. This is just a wooden button, and then at the time I picked these are just straight pins that I added some beads to, but then I found these really cute, these are straight pins that are hearts that were just absolutely adorable. So I added those two as well later on when I got those heart pins. But anyway, so that is this is by far I'm gonna say definitely top 3 favorite finishes of the year, because I just everything about this, I just absolutely love this. Kari didn't intend this to be a berry. I wanted to, you know, I didn't intend this to be a berry. I just wanted to stitch it. But it is just, it's just absolutely one of my favorites. So anyway, yeah, I'm really thrilled about that. Sorry, I keep like showing it off because I really like it a lot. So that was number 17. Number 18 is Leanne of Forbidden Fiber Company put out a, and I want to say this was in relation to Nashville Needlework Market, put out a whole set of Marvel patterns and variegated flosses to stitch them in. The reason why you see Danvers is because Danvers is the second one I started and I have not finished it yet. But the first one that I actually finished was the Trickster, which is, if you don't recognize, it's Loki. And I'm going to say this is also, yeah, this is a 32 count Fortnite Fabrics called Darlin. This is a full, this is not an ornament cut, this is a full piece. Because my plan was to stitch all of them on here together. And I haven't decided how I'm going to finish them yet. So there's my start on Danvers, but there is my finish of Trickster. I absolutely love it. So these kind of got put to the side. I started stitching on Danvers and then got distracted and never came back to them. Because I was going to say I'm looking at my journal here. I started and finished Trickster. Started on June the 20th, finished it on June the 25th. And then June the 25th, I started Danvers. And then just never got back to it. But just to show you, so like this is the Danvers. See, it's highly, highly variegated. This one is Trickster. As you can see, there's not much gold left because I actually was kind of fussy cutting it to make sure I got enough of the green in there. There's a lot more gold in this skein, but each one of them has is heavily, heavily variegated. God of Thunder, that's Thor, Cyborg, so on and so on. So you get the idea. So hopefully I'll have a few more of these in my future. But that was number 18. Okay, so number 19 was another Whip Go finish. This is Please Wash Your Hands, or Wash Your Hands, by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. This was a freebie, I think, that was on their Instagram account back, not last year, but actually the year before. I want to say kind of when the pandemic had just started. So I was trying to look. I can't find the original. Because this was part of Whip Go, I reposted, or re-entered this into my journal. I don't know how to say that properly. I entered this again into my journal again. Because it was part of Whip Go for the year, but also because this was a complete start over. My original Whip Go plan was to finish the original stitch I had. Go back and watch my Whip Go 2022 wrap up. I explained this into a lot more detail that I'm not going to go into here, unless, you know, it's not that important. Needless to say, I got it finished. This was actually a SAF. So this was it was my June Whip Go, or sorry, July Whip Go call. Started it July 1st, started it completely all over again on this 18 count Fortnite fabric ornament cut with the called for DMC. There's only 3 colors. And then started it on, looks like the 1st, and finished it on the 10th. So this one obviously went pretty quick. I was pretty gung-ho. And just put this additional ribbon. This hangs up in our bathroom. And then just a felt back. And there is that. And I'm really happy with it. I really, really am glad I started over, and I'm really glad of the pink fabric choice. I think I mentioned in my Instagram that it kind of, after the fact, I realized it kind of reminded me of the Mr. Bubble bubble bath stuff that we used as kids back in the day. So yeah, I was really kind of happy with the pink and the way it all kind of turned out together. So that was number 19. Okay, number 20. I'm going to put a picture up here because I don't have it here. This is Oddworld by Bendy Stitchy. This was one of the first, like I was on a mission to convert Michelle's patterns to Roxy Floss Co. And in addition, This was a sal that I did with my friend Christy of Pixie Cross Stitch. She wanted to stitch it as well, and so we opted to do it in August. I can't remember what the genesis was of making the decision, other than I think Christy just had it. She wanted to stitch it, so she and I started it. She actually started it before I did. I think we started it right after right at the 1st of August. But I didn't get started till a little bit later. So I started mine on the 12th, finished it on the 24th. I used a 32 count Fortnite fabric linen called Beloved. And again, it was a Leo and Roxy conversion. I will have my Instagram handle down in the comment section, or in the drop down box below, in the details. So you can check out any of my conversions. I'm not going to do the whole list, partly because I don't write them down, and partly because my memory's terrible, and partly because they've been put down on Instagram, so you can go check it out there. But yeah, so that was done. So anyways, the reason for the picture is this is actually hanging in my cubicle at work. And I kind of got these out of order because, okay, so that was number 21, because number 20 was Fall Friends by my friend Christy at Pixie Cross Stitch. So I lovingly referred to this one and Oddworld, which is number 21. This is number 20, as fraternal twins, because I used the same piece of Beloved from Fortnite Fabrics for both of these pieces. It just so happened that a lighter section was used for this one, and a little bit muddled, mottled, darker piece was used for Oddworld. So this one was from the Just Cross Stitch magazine for fall. This again was a Leo and Roxy conversion, and you again can go to my Instagram account to see what flosses I used. And this was, so we started Oddworld together, and then shortly after that I think this magazine came in the mail, so I kind of put Oddworld down and I stitched this one. So this one, Oddworld, I started the 12th. This one I started the 17th of August. But I finished this one August the 23rd and finished Oddworld August the 24th. So basically these were neck and neck for, that week or so. But they were both fantastic stitches by two fantastic designers. Christy and I have gotten to know each other really well. She lives in the hill country of Texas, down around San Marcos. If you know where that is, down Austin, that area. I live north of Dallas-Fort Worth, so we're probably about 5 hours apart. So we don't see each other regularly, but we do talk a lot on social media, DMing each other all the time. So I'm really happy to have gotten to know her. And I'm glad that we have become friends. That is one of the better joys of my 2022, was getting to meet new people and become friends with new folks in the cross stitch community. So again, this is just a hoop finish, felt on the back, and I started to point out that I was going to have to show you a picture of this, because this was hanging also in my cubicle with Oddworld, but only for the fall. Since been taken down, brought home, so it's hanging over here now on the wall over here beside me. And if I choose to continue to decorate my cubicle for fall, I might take it back up there in future years, but I didn't want to leave it up there and have something happen to it and I'd be devastated, so I'm choosing to bring it home for now. Okay, so that was 20. Oddworld was 21. We're now on to the next page, and this is what I'm going to call my Bendy Stitchy Roxy Floss Co. conversion segment of the program, because the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, next 6 are all Bendy Stitchy Leo and Roxy conversions, and then I've got 1 or 2 more after that. Okay, so number 22 is picture. Spooky Hollow by Bendy Stitchy. This was, again, this is what got going on doing the conversions. After I'd done Oddworld was just something I wanted to do because I wanted to use Roxy Floss Co. But after I did Spooky Hollow, that was out of the Just Cross Stitch Halloween ornament special edition for Halloween in 2022. After I did that one, Michelle really dug it, really thought it was cool. So I reached out to her and I told her, I said, hey, by the way, I have this whole stack of stuff, and I still have 1, 2, 3. I have at least 3 or 4 more that I still want to do over here. But I told her, I sent her picture after picture after picture of a bunch of her patterns that I said, I really want to do this. I want to convert these to Roxy Floss Co. And at the time it's Leo and Roxy, but I said, I really want to do this. Or you know, you may get inundated with pictures of these. I want to give you a heads up. And she was like, so yeah, it's kind of, it's not a official collab or anything like that. It's something that I wanted to do. I had all of these patterns of hers. I absolutely want to stitch, and I was starting to get this is about the time that I started getting both the neutral and the bright Roxy Floss Co. floss subscriptions every month. So I'm starting to build up my repertoire of Roxy Floss, and so this was a good opportunity for me to do that. So Spooky Hollow was the first one. She loved it. She has it now. I sent this one to her. I sent well, I'll get to it here in a minute. I sent a couple others to her as well. I was taking pictures. I was uploading them to a Google Doc or a Google Drive folder that she and I share. So she had pictures, but I realized I was just taking pictures of the finish. I wasn't necessarily staging them, maybe how she would like them to be staged in a picture for a pattern. As an example, you know, she's got a frame and what, I mean, I wasn't doing that. I was trying to take good quality pictures, but I wasn't doing anything with them the way that she might want to do them. So that was one of the first ones that I finished, and it went along with a couple of others in a package to her. It's kind of a surprise, but kind of not. I mean, like, I told her it was coming to her, but she didn't know what was in it. I just told her I was going to send her a couple of things. I hope she didn't mind. So, okay, so that was 22. 23 was her Noelle. Now, this one I kept for a couple of reasons. It's really cute. Cute little easel finish. But this is the first time I've ever done one of these, and it's not the best. I mean, it's fine for me, for my own personal, you know, decoration, finishing, whatever, but this wasn't good quality that I wanted to send to a designer. So, took pictures, put the pictures, uploaded them to her, for her. But this one, she was really kind of impressed because this is a pink. It's called Pink 182. Again, Roxy Floss conversion. This was a 28 count ice blue Lugana ornament cut that I had bought from Fire Poppies a long time ago. So that's what you're seeing here. Oh, by the way, the Spooky Hollow one was an 18 count. It was an ornament cut from Fortnite Fabrics. Okay. Yeah, so this was the next one I stitched. And these are all kind of back to back in September. Apparently September was kind of a fun, slow month, kind of do what I want kind of thing. Apparently, though, I didn't do much in the way of my whip go, but you can go hear about that on the other video. So there's that. Just 3 colors. That's it. The green, the red, and the white. Changed this. I think this said either 20 or 2021. I think maybe it said 21, so I changed it to 22. But yeah. So there is number 23. Number 24 was in the Halloween. Is that right? No, Christmas. the Christmas edition of Just Cross Stitch magazine, the Christmas Ornaments edition. Also Bendy Stitchy. This is Marshmallow Sweet. So the story on this, the reason why I say Halloween was because I got it done in September, and I kind of pointed out that this would make a really good Halloween stitch also, because it is marshmallows and costumes after all. But this is Marshmallow Sweet. This was actually also, I think at some point in some form or fashion, has since also been done as other, like this was done for the ornaments, but she also has another Marshmallow Sweet that is, I think she did a Leo and Roxy. I think she did a Color and Cotton, but it's different marshmallows, but they're all meant to kind of complement each other. So this was done on a 28 count Sage Jobelin linen. It was another Fire Poppies ornament cut, and Leo and Roxy, or Roxy Floss Co, and then just finished as a pillow. Put the little deal on there to know what year I stitched it, and then this is just a fuzzy trim. So there is that. That is 24, 25. Again, another picture. This is another one that I sent to Michelle. This is Christmas Mousse. Again, Roxy Floss conversion. This was done on an ice blue 28 count Lugana. Again, another pillow finish. It had a flannel, actually, as a matter of fact, I kind of meant it to match this. This is a flannel candy cane. That was the back for the mousse as well. I have a bunch of it still around here somewhere. I mean, I've got a bunch of flannel, but fabric in general, but a bunch of flannel that I bought when I was making masks during the pandemic. They make a good interior fabric because they're soft on your face. So yeah, did Christmas Mousse. Again, pom-pom trim, bought at Joann's, that kind of thing. Pillow finish. That was number 25. Then number 26, again, I'm showing you because I sent to Michelle. And this was the last one that I sent to her. That was hers. This is Snowbirds. This was done on another ornament cut, 28 count, another Sage Jobelin. Roxy conversion. Just a reminder, all of those are listed out on my Instagram. If you see them on my Instagram post, you can find them there. And then this one was just done as a hoop finish, kind of like the other one I showed you earlier. Just trim, a little bit of ribbon, and then felt backing. And so those were all sent off to her, just as kind of a way to thank her for, you know, kind of letting me do my thing, but also to give her a chance that if she wanted to take some better final, you know, kind of laid out finish photographs with them, that she could for her patterns, if it's something that she wanted to send to Evertote, or, you know, to list as a Roxy Floss Co conversion. So okay, so then after that I did, and I'm going to put a picture here of this one, I did January Basket, and I'll show you. This is the pattern right here, but here's my finish. I have not fully finished it yet. It's sitting over here with some fully finished stuff. I finished it a certain way that I didn't like, so I want to undo that finish and see if I can salvage it. If I can't, then I'm going to probably restitch it, because it's really quick stitch. It didn't, I mean, it's got a bit of stitching because it's a lot of full coverages and Smyrna crosses and that kind of thing, but it's a 52 by 43. I mean, it's not very big at all, but it took me a little while to get it done. And actually, I think this is one of those where I started it and then I set it down because I was working on something else and then didn't get back to it. So this one, though, I will tell you. So of course, this is the original, the pattern. These are the Roxy Floss Co. This is Under the Sea Foam. This is Dark Sage. This is Mushroom. And this is Morganite. And it just so happened the Morganite came in a Neutrals floss subscription, I think right about the time I was putting these together initially. So that's how I lucked out with that one. And it turned out really, really good. So yeah, so I've got that one. I have not posted, and part of the reason for showing you the flosses too, I have not posted that one to Instagram. I never did. That was done back in, finished it in October. The holidays came and went, never posted it. I'll eventually get around to posting it, but it never happened. So there you go. There's my conversion for that one. And you'll, like I said, I'll eventually share it on other social media as well. I just haven't. Part of it too is because my finish didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. I'd like to fully finish it before I share it. But if not, I will just share my original picture of my stitching that I finished that I'm showing with you guys today. Because at least that way, y'all can see what it looked like. And then if I have to restitch it, no harm, no foul. So, all right. So that was 27. 28 is another one of my, I'm going to say, top 3 finishes of the year, because this one makes me smile every time I see it. This was the first release by the incomparable Ellen Reed of Maximum Cross Stitch Power Hour, also of the Crash Test Dummies. This was her first foray into cross stitch design, and it's called Fall is Greater Than Summer. This was done. So all of, well, I don't want to say all of, but I think the majority of Ellen's patterns so far have been Evertote. Roxy Floss Co. Stitches. I mean, I think that's how she's designing. But this was Roxy Floss Co. Now, I had to sub some of the colors. I didn't have all of the colors, but I came up with very good substitutes. Like this pretty much looks like her pattern. The only difference is, you know, some of the browns might be a little more brown, a little more orange, a little more red, you know. But she used an orange, she used a yellow, she used a green. She used, I think, the black color was the chalkboard. So I had the majority of them. I just had to change up. Like, the one that I know off the top of my head, the green, either she used artichoke and I used asparagus, or she used asparagus and I used artichoke. I had one but not the other, so you see where I'm going with this. Orange was the same way. She used butter chicken for the orange, and I used pumpkin up the medium. But other than that, I mean, and the yellow was another one. I used tournesol. I don't remember the yellow she used, but I know it was different. But again, not important. I absolutely love this so much. So this is, did I mention it's Fortnite Fabrics 32 count called Fantasy. And as you can see, there is a little bit of like greeny yellow, but for the most part, it's kind of a grayish, gray brown kind of color. So it was finished on just a piece of foam board, art board, you know, sticky side to get the linen to lay flat. It's still kind of, you know, it looks kind of lumpy in a couple of places, but I think part of that too is the modeling in the fabric kind of makes it look like that too. But did that. Then had these adorable little picket fences things that I think I found at like the dollar spot at Target or something like that, or Joann's or somewhere. And then, so just hot glued that, and then did the black pom-pom trim. And the black, so just so you know, there is an outside border, stitch border, but I got so close with the finishing that it almost doesn't even show up. But other than that, this is definitely, this was one of my highest liked pictures on Instagram for sure. But yeah, Ellen is a genius. And I'm glad this was her first release. All of her, honestly, all of her designs are just like unbelievable. The one with the swans is just absolutely gorgeous. I will not be able to stitch them all. I will not have enough lifetimes to stitch all the things I want to stitch, so I'll have to be a little more judicious in what I choose. What I instead of just buying them all, I'll have to be a little more judicious. The Santa Disco one at the holidays, oh my gosh, just kill me now. It was just absolutely fabulous. So yes, I will be stitching more of Ellen's stuff, but that one by far is, yeah, like nearly pinnacle as far as just the humor of it. I just absolutely loved it. So that was 28. 29, another picture. And not because I gave this to Michelle, but because this is still hanging in my office currently, or in my cubicle at work currently. This is Michelle Bendy Stitchy Trimming the Tree. Another Roxy Floss Co conversion. I used a 16 count Be Stitch Me called It's a Mystery. And this was, I think, basically the last one of Michelle's like this that I did. I kind of wanted to get this one done before the holidays. So like I finished this right at the very end of October. So I wanted it, if she wanted to, I wanted to get this out in enough time that if people wanted to stitch this. And this is actually one of the few that it got a lot of likes, got a lot of, you know, whatever. But this is one that actually somebody reached. Oh, no, that's not right. Oddworld was the one that somebody reached out to me and asked for me, my colors, because they wanted to stitch it. But this one was another one where a couple of people were like, oh, I really want to stitch this one too. So, and I think this is a really popular pattern of Michelle's, and it came out a couple of years ago. I mean, it's not a new release or anything like that for Christmas or for the holidays. It's been out a while. Again, these were all patterns I had previously purchased that I wanted to convert because I had the flosses. So okay, so 30 is another one from the Just Cross Stitch Christmas Ornaments Special edition for 2022. This is my friend Christy Pixie Cross Stitch. This is her ornament called It's All About the Sweets, and this is another Roxy conversion. So, Christy and I got to talking back, I want to say when I was doing all of the conversions for Michelle, like in September, because that's about the time this this edition came out, was, you know, right about the time fall hit. They usually get that ornament edition out early enough that people have time to stitch them in time for Christmas. I wanted to look and see when I stitched not Spooky Hollow, but Marshmallow Sweet. Marshmallow Sweet was September 14th, so yeah, that's this magazine must have come out right before then. So yeah, so Christy and I were talking. She's like, so when are you gonna do one of mine? And of course I had done Fall Friends, but I wanted to do another one as well. So this was It's All About the Sweets. And this, so the mouse is slightly different from the original. I think I went lighter with the tail and like the arm and stuff, and I think it's kind of the other way around in the magazine, where the tail, well, not the tail, but like the arm and whatever is darker than the rest of the body. But it still turned out really, really, really cute. Pause for the sirens. Turned out really, really, really cute. So the only other thing I will mention is all of the remaining colors pretty much came from the Roxy Floss Co. Pride pack. So if you have the Pride collection, it was the red, the orange, the yellow, the green, the purple, and I think the brown as well, all came from. The only thing that didn't come from the Pride pack was the colors that I used for the mouse. So used another piece of that flannel to cover up the back. It's another piece of that artboard sticky, so that way I could get the linen. The little ornament, I was trying to look and see. Oh, it was an old ornament cut from Fire Poppies called Country Country French Rain 32 count. I think that's right. They would put the little handwritten stickers. So I think that's either, I think Country French Rain, I think is what it is, but a 32 count. And then the Roxy Floss Co. And this took like a day. And actually it took a day because I was on a Zoom most of the day, in which Christy was actually part of it. I don't think she knew the entire time I was stitching this while she was there too. Yeah, so I was kind of had undivided attention, so that's all I pretty much did. It only took me about a day to get that one stitched, so I got that one done. So that was number 30. Number 31 was hanging up right over here on the wall. This is my cross patch sow. Again, another Pixie design. This was a sow that was, I'm trying to get it to where it is really blowing out really bad. Hold on a second here. That's a little bit better, but not really. There we go. This was a sow that was started by Michelle G. Bendy Stitchy. She got in touch with, or Carla at Cobweb Corner maybe got in touch with Michelle and asked her if there was any pattern or chart that she would like to either have a discount code for or give out a free copy to or whatever. So Michelle did some thinking on it and decided that this was one of Christy's charts that she absolutely loved. She thought it had a lot of like cozy vibes to it. Kind of good for, you know, settling into the winter. So she had offered a discount code that got you the pattern along with either the Gentle Art, which was the original overdyed floss, flosses stitched for the pattern, or Michelle had done her own conversion because Gentle Art was so hard to get at the time. So if you used her code, you got a discount on the pattern along with any combination of the flosses. So I actually ordered Michelle's conversion. However, once I got the pattern and I got this piece of, this is actually a Fangirl Fibers. It's it was part of the Star Wars, I want to say the Valentine's Star Wars box last year, but I kind of got this piece out because I really wanted to do this. So Christy's original pattern was designed on black fabric, and as much as I've learned that I don't like stitching on dark fabric, I'm not opposed to it. It looks good when it looks good, but I wanted to try something different. So not only did I go opposite with the fabric, I actually didn't use Michelle's conversion either. So this is also Fangirl Fibers Silks. These were all random colors, most of which were part of Disney Club subscriptions from over the months over 2022. And so I just picked different colors, and I really loved how this turned out. This is a wooden hoop. This was actually the hoop I did stitch it in. And I will be totally honest. There were, these vines came up and around these flowers, but I knew they were going to get cut off. So I kind of just didn't stitch the rest of it, but it's okay. It looks just fine. It would have been cut off by the hoop anyway. That was the whole point of it. So hoop finish. These are actually 3 different really small ribbon trims that I braided and then glued around the hoop. And then the ribbon, the, you know, tulle or whatever it is, ribbon, organza ribbon. And then this is the back. So I did another piece of trim, you can see here, just to kind of cover up where the fabric and the hoop met, the outside hoop met. But this is another piece of that foam board, art board, that I just peeled the sticky off and put a piece of fabric that I thought the colors kind of matched, the purpley, at least the butterflies kind of matched. And so that's what I did. And it's not, you know, you just saw me pull it out. It's not secured in there, but it does cover up the back, so you can't see the back. And I just wanted to try something different there. And then the hanger really isn't anything. It's a piece of leftover, like really thick, bulky yarn. So, sorry, it keeps blowing out. I'm trying to show it to you. So, that was that. And that was, what did I say, number 31. That was my 31 finish. 31th. Boy, I almost made it to the end without saying something ridiculous. So, but yeah, that was my 31st finish for 2022. Okay, so 32nd. Oh, another picture for you fine folks. Because my 32nd finish was my Stitch along. I was part of Team Sips and Stitches, which was, our captain was Jessie from Mislaid Pages, who was a fantastic captain, and our, I don't know, whatever, if Jessie was our captain, then Dr. Christy of Christy's Corner Needlework was like our, I don't know, whatever the next in line is, our communications officer on the submarine that I call Team Sips and Stitches, because Christy was amazing. She was the one that we placed 4th out of like 60. There was like 65 teams, and I think about 55 of those actively kind of participated, so 4th. We had some heavy competition. There's always heavy competition every year that there's been a Stitch. But yes, this was rather exciting. So, my finish for Stitch is, if at first you don't succeed, and then we got to add our own personalized second half, because of our team's submission that won first place in the team challenge for movie magic. We did the scene from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, The Knights Who Say Ni, the scene in the woods. We all played some small role. There was only about 6 people actually on film, on the video, but a lot of us did a lot of background work. And because the previous team challenge left us very bitter, I had about 4 different finishes depending on the results of the movie magic challenge. And because we won first place with our submission, this was my submission, or my ending, because I'm the one. Now the picture here actually shows you the finish, the frame, but I took this to work, and the frame the kazoo was hot glued onto the frame, and that was kind of a no-go. It fell off rather quickly. So here's the kazoo. So the frame pieces at work, the kazoo didn't make it, but that's okay. But I was the musical accompaniment to our video. Basically, we couldn't use anything from the original footage. We couldn't use the music, we couldn't use any sound effects, we couldn't use any dialogue, we couldn't use anything. So we had to recreate the entire thing from scratch. So I did the overture, the beginning, the overture, the main theme that kind of runs throughout the movie as King Arthur is traveling. And then I did the ending credits with the kazoo. So, because we won, I kind of felt like we were not vindicated, but we kind of felt like we were finally recognized. And I think the kazoo and I think Christy agrees, had a lot to do with that. Not in that the kazoo is what won it for us, but until we added the kazoo, the music, the overture, and the ending to it, it seemed like we were taking ourselves way too seriously. Adding the kazoo in just made it absolutely silly and absolutely hysterical and funny and irreverent and charming and ridiculous and all the things that our team is. So anyway, that's why I finished mine the way I did. Long explanation to say. And then if you noticed in the pictures, well, there is a little crown. Or not designed, but I kind of put together a little crown just to kind of remind me if, as I get older, my memory goes poorly. It's just a reminder. That was what the kazoo was about. It was our King Arthur video. So that was number 32. Number 33 was my modern folk embroidery, the Evertote Roxy Floss Co. band sampler. I'm going to put a picture in, and this is a screenshot. If you want to go back and watch for whatever weird, or not weird, but for any reason, want to go back and watch, I'm taking a screenshot of my Festivlogs from 2022 because every day I stitched on it. I kept up with it. Just to kind of give you a rough idea, every day we received a portion of the pattern. Every day we received a different colored floss, and all the way leading up to Christmas. And every day we stitched, and we didn't know what we were getting until the next day, and the next day, and the next day. So I finished it. I finished it like with a lot of people. Not everybody. I know a lot of people did not get started on it, but they will. They will eventually. And there were some gorgeous. You should go out and look. MFE Countdown Sal was the hashtag. There were some people that chose some absolutely gorgeous alternatives to actually stitching with the called for. There were a couple of alterations I made. Is that like conversion changes that I made? The snowflake, the big kind of samplery motif area towards the end. The outer parts of the snowflakes are, I think it's called, I've forgotten the color now. It's called like snowball or snowfall or something. I was one of the unfortunate, well, not unfortunate, I was one of the people who did not get the original brown that was intended. And I don't even remember. Oh, it was called figgy pudding. So I ended up getting espresso instead. But because they knew that we were not getting the colors as they were intended, or the color that was intended, they also threw in, honestly don't know. Hold on a second. I may have to look at my color conversion because, oh, that's not it. Oh, okay. They gave us Sandcastle. Sorry, I was way off on that. Way off on the name. The Sandcastle right here. Which is just a pale, like an ecru kind of. So where the figgy pudding should have been around the snowflakes and the bird, I chose just to use the Sandcastle instead. I kind of like it. The bird, though, the bird was also supposed to be figgy pudding. But I opted to use, and I think I ended up using Poinsettia or Rudolph. I don't remember which one. But one of the reds, because I wanted mine to be a cardinal. So I did that as well. Everything else is exactly as it should be. Other than also in that motif, the big snowflake is off a stitch. But you can't tell. Everything else I kind of made sure I counted to where it worked out. So yeah, so that's it. And the only reason why I do have it, but because I am stitching something else on the fabric, the same fabric, it's kind of tucked away at the moment so I can stitch my other project. So that was number 3. Number 34, and my final stitch, the last thing I stitched in 2022 and finished on December 31st was my wonderful Funky Peacock by Marroomy Designs by Miriam. This was called in Whip Go in September, and you can go back and see the details on why this didn't get done in September and when this did get done. But just know I finished it December 31st. This is a Stitchy Ferret fabric. I think that this is an 18 count. I think it's either 16 or 18 count. And it's another Roxy Floss Co. Great Lakes, Duchess, and Mulberry is what I think I decided were the 3 colors. Absolutely love it. As you can see, it's still got hoop marks. I've got to iron it and decide how I'm going to finish it. It may just go in the journal with Wonky Cat for right now. That is 33. Now, I actually, 34, that was 34. So I actually did 35. So this is the one thing that I mentioned at the beginning that I'm still looking through my journal, because I was expecting to see the related stitched piece in here, and I do not see it. So I went to Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit, but I did the online version. Somewhere in my journal should have been my start of Lindy Stitches pattern that was gifted to us. But in addition to that, we had a make and take, or take and make, or make and take. And this was a finish. And this is a little pendant. And it's a little cardinal that I think this was designed by Stephanie Webb of Lindy Stitches. But I finished it during the summit that weekend. And so I was going to say, I was trying to look and see. I want to say the summit was in September. But I don't know if that's right or not, or if it was in August. Maybe it's right at the end of August. But I don't have the entry of my start to Stephanie Webb, Lindy Stitches, the pattern I started while I was there. I did finish that pendant, and it hangs right here. I haven't had a chance to wear it yet. I haven't had anywhere to wear it yet. I probably need to put it with my other jewelry so I see it, because otherwise it'll just hang in here all the time, and I'll completely forget about it. So that is it for my 35 finishes for 2022. And I need to go back and also change my my numbers on my journal, because I had 33 and then I had 34, and then, but yeah, 35 finishes for 2022. That was freaking amazing. I was trying to look and see also, as a comparison, how many I did in 2021. I think I had 21 finishes. So I definitely got a bit more done. And a lot of that was due to the smalls, doing a lot more smalls this year, not committing to larger projects that take longer to finish. So that was fantastic. So I appreciate you all being here. For those of you that just wanted to see this cross stitch, I will say I love you all. Take care of yourselves. For those of you who want to stick around, I am going to try to very briefly and quickly go over my knitting. I only had 11 finishes, if I kept my counting straight, but I will show you the knitting that I finished real quick. So I didn't do a lot of hats, or headwear apparently. I started out the year with Nomadic Knits does, they do their Knitmas every year. And it's really, it's not even, it's like from Christmas to Boxing Day, like post holiday deal. But after the first of the year, they do their Lonely Hearts Club knit along. And so last year's was a hat that had a really cute, it's not double stitched, it's, I can't think what it's called, but hearts on the hat. So I finished this in February, knitted this, very happy with it. I love the pom-pom. Very, very, very cute. Then I had some leftover, actually I have quite a bit of this left over, but I had this skein, this one particular skein, I had enough left over that I actually went back because I really liked this rib pattern for the hat. I went back and knit basically a headband. Some of you out there, if you've been on a Zoom with me here during the winter, I've probably been wearing it on Zoom because it's cold back in this room. But basically just took this part of the pattern and just knit it till I just about ran out of yarn, and then bound off and just made like a big like ear warmer headband thing. The reason why I don't have it to show though is because I wear it so dang much. It's actually like in the dirty clothes and needs to be washed. But that was number 2. Number 3, I actually did another one. So this was a bunch of scrap yarn that I had, in some, I was part of a fiber share, a wool, yarn swap. So that's what these 3 colors were like little wound, mini skeins of, I think it was hand dyed by the person that gifted it to me. But then in addition, the stripes, and then I tried to duplicate stitch. There you go. I tried to duplicate stitch this heart again, but didn't come out as well, like it did on here, because this is just knit stitches. I tried to do it again, but of course this is on the ribbing, so I'm just doing it on the ribs. But it looks okay from afar, wherever. It's blowing out again. I'm really sorry. There we go. That's a little bit better. But this, was left over from this. Is if you ever order anything from Miss Babs collaborates a lot with Casapinka, and so I think I had ordered some yarn for a Casapinka project years ago, and they always send you like a mini skein, and they say, here, I'll show you, because I kept it in my journal, because I keep everything in my journal. See this right here? It says Swatch Me Funny Papers. That was the skein. So it was literally like, I don't know, a few yards of this. And I'm going to say it was, does this say on here? Aran weight. So that's what I did was when I just about ran out of this color, I switched over, did a complete row. Then switched over to my gray. And then when I almost ran out of that, did another complete row. And then did the rest of my 3rd color, and then found these cute little buttons to match. And the buttons, I'm gonna say they work. I mean, they do. Like, I did stitch buttonholes on this, but in the process of trying it on, because there was so much stretch, I ended up tacking down where the 2 overlapped, because it was pulling on the buttons so much that they were looking rather not great. I mean, they were starting to look kind of crooked and whatever else. So but yeah, so that was number 3. Number 4 was, I will put in a picture here, I decided to do the Hildy crochet along with Arna and Carlos in the spring. They did some prizes, giveaways, that kind of thing, but basically they had a pattern where they kind of released a section at a time to do, to show you how to do those crochet flowers. I'm looking around because I thought I had just a flower that I could show you, but I don't, but that's okay. So the original idea was to do, which is what I did, like a seat cover, make a big blanket, make a lap blanket, whatever you wanted to do with it. So I did a seat cover. Well, I was using scraps. I was using a bunch of minis. And I was just kind of randomly doing this here and doing this there, and then found a real pretty pink to connect them all together with. But I still have the project bag that I had this project in. I still have a ton of minis left, so I don't know what I'm going to do, because after I finished my seat cover, I also did a pillow. And I've still got a ton of the pink left. I've got a ton of the minis left. And I've still got several, I was going to say partially crocheted flowers. I just had so many. I thought it would eat up more yarn than it did. But I absolutely love this fabric. So, or this pattern. So for knitting finish number 4 was the seat cover. This is actually knitting finish number 6. In between the two, back in May, Shannon Squire and Knitted Wit got together and did the hats and socks on vacay. Basically, I think it starts around a little bit before Memorial Day. It goes through basically a little around or after Labor Day here in the US. And in the past, it was always socks on vacay. So if you did any socks during the summer, used one of Shannon's patterns, used some of Knitted Wit yarn, you could be entered in to the giveaway throughout the summer. This year, they actually added hats to it. And I've got a couple of skeins of Knitted Wit, one of which was one of their National Park colorways called Petrified Forest. And it's a really old, or not old yarn, but it was an old purchase for me. I mean, I've had it for a while. They may still make the colorway. I don't know. I know they still do National Park colorways. I just don't know if they do Petrified Forest still or not. But this was meant to be done in time for me to go on vacation in May, at the end of May, and then I got COVID. So my vacation was postponed, and so was finishing this hat. So I started it May 21st. I was hoping to have it finished in time to go on vacation, and I didn't get it done, but being homesick, it was a nice, good knitting project for me to do, hunker down in the house. I'll put it on. It's just a very simple beanie. But it's called, the pattern by Shannon Squire is called the Keep Slipping hat. So it's got like these nice little slip stitch, running slip stitches throughout. And interesting fact on this one, the size knitting needle I needed, I wanted to use a circular needle, and I have an interchangeable set. For whatever reason, I did not have in this size. So this is the first hat I ever knit on double pointed needles, DPNs, and it worked out really well. So I'm really happy with it. But yeah, this is a real basic, very kind of shallow hat, and I basically used up almost all of that yarn for that one. And it was, that Keep Slipping hat was meant to be done on this is like a, I want to say like a DK or Aran weight, kind of a heavier weight yarn. But that was a lot of fun. So then comes this. This is I know you can't really see it very well. It's called the My Little Crop by Jessie Maid. It is using the Fangirl Fibers Golden Girls colorway mini skein set that I got at Valentine's Day last year. Or last year? 2 years ago. last year, because I think I made my thank you for being a friend bag when I opened all these up leading up to Valentine's Day. So, okay, so having said all that, this is using 5 mini skein colors and then holding it double with the big skein. The big skein was called Thank You for Being a Friend, and then all of the mini skeins, I don't think I have all of the little individual, but basically she named the individual mini skeins after different episodes. So that was my, and this top, Jessie Made is like A+ in my book. This top was so easy. The pattern was so easy to follow. The top was so quick and easy to do. I've actually got a second one in my project bag that I want to do. I just haven't had a chance to finish it yet. The second one I want to do, though, is going to be another fade like this, only I want it to be like belly button, like an actual like tank length. Crop tops, apparently, when I put that on, it fit like a glove, but it made me very self-conscious. So I want to make one longer. Like this one, I pretty much told myself when I made it that either I would wear it underneath like something like this, or a cardigan or something with like a zip up, something that I could kind of cover up, like my midriff would be exposed, those kinds of things. I didn't, I'm kind of a little too body conscious for wearing that, but that top fits unbelievably well. I mean, Jessie Made, the way the pattern's designed, I mean, you follow it to the letter and you will get the exact garment that you're looking for. So I'm definitely going to do more of these. And the second one I'm doing also, it's a darker, it's like held together with like a dark charcoal gray or something. So it's going to be a much darker tank color. But yeah, I was absolutely thrilled with this finish. So can't say enough good things about Jessie Made. Okay, so that was number 7. Number 8 was, have to put a picture here. This is my contribution to the It's You I Like Sal / movement. Hashtag it's not a Sal, it's a movement. A long time ago, Michelle, Bendy Stitchy, and Diana of It Is Kismet Stitches made It's You I Like. And it's a freebie, or I think so. I think it's a freebie. You can, if you go out and look for it, you can find it if you know where to look. But it's meant to be cross-stitched. It's a cross-stitch chart. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to, I definitely wanted to give one to Michelle, not only because it was a collaboration with her and with Diana, but I hope that in doing what I did, I somehow conveyed how unique and special and different and lovely and meaningful she is to the cross-stitch community. So in the chart, I looked to see that it was charted 60 stitches across, which kind of rang a bell with me. I wanted to knit it, but I wanted to make sure that it was something that it wasn't. You knit things flat, and they curl up, and you start having issues and whatever. And I didn't want like a coaster or something, that laid down. So the number of stitches, the number of width of stitches, rang a bell with me. So I took the Arna & Carlos Christmas ball pattern, and the widest point of that pattern, of that ball, all the way around is 64 stitches. So I knew I had just enough room. So I took one of their, basically what I did was I took I think the top portion of a pattern from one of their ornaments, took that stitch, It's You I Like, and then took the bottom different pattern of a different ball, and knit, and It's You I Like from Michelle, and that went along with the 3 or 4 finishes that I sent to her in the mail. So that was number 8. Number 9 was another Keep Slipping hat. This one, I made the attempt to do a ponytail hole. I attempted to crochet a ponytail holder, a little scrunchy, elastic hairband in it. But then I realized in binding it off, basically the bind off was not stretchy at all, so I kind of defeated the whole purpose. But it does work as a good ponytail hat. Again, same exact pattern. The only difference was, as you can tell, this one had a really short band. I wanted a much longer band, because this one, when I wear this one, it comes right to like my ears. This one I wanted to make sure it covered up my ears, especially if I was putting it up in a ponytail, and that meant I didn't have anything to cover up my ears with that hat. So that was number 9. And then number 10 and number 11 are, if you followed me on Instagram, are my little wee evergreen trees. So this is Imagine Landscapes. If you follow their yearly gnome knit-alongs, this was an additional kind of one-off side shoot pattern to their gnome, because obviously this is like the gnome hats, right? These kind of look like the gnomes. These just end up being trees. So these were knit with a Yarn Carnival, just an old yarn that I had from a long time ago. Yarn Carnival was, I don't know if they still exist anymore. Yarn Carnival was or is a Texas yarn dyer. And so I did 2 of these little trees. This is the medium, so these are the fingering weight trees, so that's why they're pretty kind of small. But this one is the medium size, and this one is the tiny sized. And I put my little, these are actually pins, like straight pins. Ooh, almost stabbed myself with that one. That I put in the tree. And then this one in the bigger tree, the medium tree. And then in the mini tree, I put a little North Pole sign and a little owl charm for that one. So those were my last 2 knitted finishes for 2022. And these were done pretty early on in December. And I kept them, I kept the big one, the large one, up at work on my desk once I got it finished. I got it finished kind of the first week in December. The second one, I wanted to try to do a tiny one, so I knit it here at home, and it pretty much stayed here at home. And then I've got them both here now. So they were my final finishes for the year. Whew. Alright, that was a lot. And if you stuck around for the knitting, I appreciate you so very much. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out I did my Whip Go kind of wrap up, and my plans for this year. This may be the last one you see of me for a little while. I intend to go back to the vlog style YouTube uploads, because that actually works really well for me. I can just do little snippets throughout a week or every 2 weeks, and kind of just, smash them all together and put them out there for y'all, and you can kind of just see what I'm working on. If not, if you don't like that kind of thing, or if this is more your style, so I may not see you again for a while, take care of yourself. Catch me over on Instagram. I try to post as much there as I post here. Just two different versions of the same content, basically. And yeah, y'all take care of each other. Be kind to one another. I hope you have the best 2023 that you can, that you were able. I hope it's a better year for all of us, and I hope everybody stays healthy and safe. And I'll see you around. I'll be back here in some form or another. But take care of each other, and I love y'all. Peace.